Think about a classic Florida afternoon. To escape the brutal heat and humidity outside, you've likely settled into your favorite deeply cushioned chair with the air conditioning running. It feels incredibly comfortable while you are resting, but I want to talk about what happens the exact moment you decide to get up to grab a glass of water. You try to stand, and instantly your knees lock up, pop, and scream with a sharp, grinding pain. You feel physically stuck, having to heave your body forward just to get out of the chair. It is incredibly frustrating. I hear my patients say every day that they feel like their joints are turning to rust, and they assume this wincing and groaning is just an unavoidable part of getting older. They accept this dread as a normal part of their day. But I want to assure you right now, this sharp pain is not just age, and it is certainly not inevitable. When you sit perfectly still in that cool air conditioning for an hour reading a book or watching the news, you are unknowingly setting a mechanical trap for your own cartilage. But the reason your knees feel like rusty, locked hinges right now isn't just because of your age. It's a direct result of a physical change happening deep inside your joints every time you sit still in that cool air. That physical change happening while you rest is something I call the dry hinge effect. To understand why it hurts so much, we need to take a look right inside your knee. Inside your knee capsule is a natural, slippery lubricant called synovial fluid. When you are moving around, this fluid coats your cartilage and keeps everything gliding effortlessly. But when you sit perfectly still for long periods, especially in that crisp Florida air conditioning, the environment inside your joint drastically changes. Without movement to keep it warm, that synovial fluid actually cools down. It thickens up and slowly sinks away from the cartilage, pooling at the very bottom of the joint capsule. Think of it exactly like the motor oil in a car that has been sitting in the driveway on a chilly night. The oil becomes a thick, sluggish sludge. Now imagine what happens when you suddenly try to stand up to answer the door or grab the TV remote. You are demanding that cold engine to go from 0 to 60. Because that thick sludge hasn't had time to warm up and coat the bones, you are essentially standing on a dry joint. Your kneecap grinds directly against your thigh bone. That bone-on-bone friction is the exact cause of that breathtaking spike of pain. You are forcing your cartilage to carry your entire body weight without any protective grease. If you repeat this dry, grinding motion several times a day, every single day, it actually starts to microscopically wear away your precious cartilage over time. It is completely understandable why you might start dreading getting out of your favorite chair. But the good news is, we can stop this friction from ever happening again. We just need to change your pre-standing routine. We have to warm up the oil and coat the gears before you even think about leaning forward. Now that you understand how standing on a dry joint causes that excruciating bone-on-bone grinding, we need to actively lubricate those knees before you ever attempt to carry your body weight.
So let's actively lubricate those knees right now, and we are going to do it while you are still safely seated. Because the very first mistake we make happens before our feet even leave the floor. When you've been sitting perfectly still for an hour watching your favorite show, your body thinks it's time to shut down. We have to wake it back up safely. We are going to use a technique I call the synovial pump. It is incredibly simple, requires zero equipment, and completely changes the physics of your knee joint. Remember that thick, cold motor oil sitting at the bottom of your joint? If you suddenly heave your entire body weight onto that dry knee, the friction causes immediate damage. Before you even think about leaning forward to stand, I want you to sit tall, slowly extend your right leg straight out, and then gently pull your heel all the way back under your chair. By simply straightening and bending that knee without any of your body weight pressing down on it, your joint acts exactly like a mechanical pump. You are actively churning that fluid. Do this just 5 times on each leg. It takes maybe 20 seconds. Extend it out, pull it back, nice and slow. There is absolutely no rush here. Watch the miracle happening inside your body. The movement creates gentle friction and heat, turning that sluggish sludge into a warm, slippery coating. It is actively greasing the gears. I tell my patients down here in Florida every single day, never ask a dry joint to carry your body weight. That simple 20-second pump is your daily insurance policy against that sharp, sudden grinding pain. You are telling your cartilage that it's time to get to work safely. Your knees are now fully lubricated, the motor oil is warm, and the delicate cartilage behind your kneecap is completely shielded. You are now mechanically prepared to handle movement without grinding your bones together. But being lubricated is only step one. If you still sit deep in your chair and heave your upper body forward to stand up, you will still experience pain. Even with greased gears, trying to lift your entire body weight from the very back of a soft, deep cushion forces your knees into a mechanically impossible angle. We have to fix the way you actually lift off. Once you've greased the gears and prepared the joint for movement, the next step is to completely change your center of gravity so you never have to painfully heave your upper body forward again. Once you've greased the gears and prepared the joint for movement, the next step is to completely change your center of gravity so you never have to painfully heave your upper body forward again. Let's look at the physics of your favorite chair. When you are relaxing, your hips are buried deep in the cushion, resting much lower than your knees. You are in a mechanical deficit. If you try to stand up from this deep position, physics is simply working against you. You have to aggressively throw your shoulders forward just to get your weight over your feet. That heaving motion takes 100% of your body weight and slams it directly onto your delicate kneecaps. But we can bypass the knees entirely. I call this Protocol 2, the power angle, or the scoot and hinge. It is a simple, two-step mechanical fix that shifts the work to your body's heavy lifters. Step 1 is the scoot. Never try to stand up from the back of a deep chair. I want you to literally scoot your hips forward until you're sitting on the very front edge. Look at the angle now. By moving to the edge of the seat, your hips are instantly elevated. Because they are now higher than your knees, you have just reclaimed your mechanical advantage. Step 2 is your foundation. Plant your feet flat on the ground, shoulder-width apart. Now pull your feet back just slightly so your heels are tucked right behind your knees. Now for the magic. Keep your back perfectly straight, no slumping your shoulders, and simply hinge forward at your hips. Lean forward until you can look down and see that your nose is directly over your toes. This nose over toes position is the absolute secret to pain-free standing. Look at what happens inside. You have just transferred all of your body weight away from your knee cartilage, and you've loaded that massive weight directly into the strongest, largest engines in your entire body, your glutes and your hamstrings. From this loaded position, you don't heave, you don't rock. You simply push straight down through your heels and let those big muscles lift you up smoothly. The heavy lifting engines in the back of your legs do all the pulling. Your knees, perfectly lubricated from our first protocol, simply go along for a free, painless ride. The first time you do this correctly, it feels like a revelation. You realize your legs aren't actually weak. You were just trying to lift yourself from an impossible mechanical angle. You can use this exact scoot and hinge technique getting out of a low car seat, sliding out of a booth at your favorite restaurant, or rising from your patio furniture. It is the ultimate blueprint for protecting your joints, shifting the shear force, and reclaiming your independence. You now have the exact mechanics to stand up completely pain-free, but if you don't change how you sit down, you are going to brutally bruise your cartilage all over again.
You now have the exact mechanics to stand up completely pain-free. But if you don't change how you sit down, you are going to brutally bruise your cartilage all over again. We have all done it. You come inside after a long walk in the Florida heat, you walk over to your chair, turn around, bend your knees, and then you just let gravity take over for the last 6 inches. In the clinic, we call this the senior plop. When you free fall into a chair, your body weight accelerates. The moment you hit the cushion, a massive, violent shock wave shoots straight up into your knees. It feels like relief because you are finally sitting down, but microscopically, you are jarring the joint. You are literally bruising that delicate cartilage we just worked so hard to protect. That tiny bit of hidden damage is exactly why your knees feel stiff and angry the next time you try to stand up. We have to stop the free fall. To stop this invisible damage, we are going to use Protocol 3, the soft landing. And the very first step is to never guess where the chair is. Always back up until you feel the seat against the back of your legs. Now, we're going to use a technique physical therapists call eccentric control. That simply means using your heavy leg muscles as a set of heavy-duty brakes. Reach back for the armrests or place your hands on your thighs. Bend your knees, stick your hips back, and count to a full 3 seconds before your bottom actually touches the fabric. Watch the muscles during this 3-second descent. Your quadriceps and glutes are acting exactly like a deployed parachute, catching your body weight and keeping the pressure completely off the knee joint. By the time you actually touch the chair, your joints experience absolutely zero impact. It is a completely silent, soft landing. It takes a little more focus, and your thigh muscles might burn just a little bit at first. But listen to me, that burn is actually you building functional strength every single time you sit down. By mastering the upward hinge and the soft, controlled landing, you have the exact blueprint to protect your cartilage. But here's how to make this pain-free movement a permanent part of your life.
Making this pain-free movement a permanent part of your life doesn't mean you need to join a gym or buy expensive equipment. Your own home is your new training ground. It is simply about being mindful of how you move in the spaces you already love. Let's make a deal to put these 3 daily habits into practice starting today. Remember the blueprint. Before you stand, pump those legs 5 times to warm up the oil. Then, scoot to the edge, put your nose over your toes, and let your hips do the heavy lifting. And whenever you sit back down, give me that 3-second parachute landing. You are actively building functional leg strength every single time you take a seat. When you put these 3 protocols together, something amazing happens. You stop grabbing the edge of the table. You stop rocking back and forth. You stop dreading the simple act of standing up. You take the destructive, crushing pressure completely off your delicate knee cartilage, and you put the workload directly onto the muscles that were designed to carry you safely. Age is just a number, and joint pain is often just a mechanical error that you now know exactly how to fix. You can finally get back to enjoying your retirement with absolute confidence. Thank you for letting me into your home today. Remember, your joints are meant to move, and now you have the tools to protect them. Go enjoy that beautiful Florida weather. You've earned it.